Boys, there's a lot of UFC fighters who don't know when to call it quits, and in today's video, I'm going to give you guys a fighter in every single weight class that I think should hang up the gloves, call it quits. I'm going to give you reasons why. First off, let's quickly run through the women's division. Starting off in the strawweight division, I think, unfortunately, the Karate Hottie should hang up the gloves. Currently ranked 14th in the strawweight division. She is 1-7 in her last 8 fights. She is scheduled to fight on the McGregor card on UFC 303 against Jillian Robertson. Guys, she's 38 years old. If she can't get this win over Jillian Robertson, I think it's time to call it quits. I wouldn't be surprised if this is her last MMA fight, to be honest. I'm going to try to keep the women's division super fast. So let's keep moving on to the flyweight division. Next up, ranked 16th in the flyweight division. You guys probably don't even know who this woman is. Andrea Lee, 2-7 in her last 9 fights. She's 35 years old. Every single one of her losses is coming from decisions. Her last win was in 2021, and it was technically a stoppage win against Cynthia Calvillo. The corner stopped it round 2. She's just too old on a current 4-fight losing streak, and yeah, at this point, unfortunately, age isn't her friend in this game, and I think the age has caught up to her. Now, going to someone whose age has definitely caught up to them, bantamweight division, ranked number 5 in the world. She is 1-3 in her last 4 fights. We're talking about Holly Holm, 42 years old, coming off a dominant loss against Kayla Harrison. And if there was any talks about having another title run, Kayla Harrison gave her a halting stop to any of her dreams. So unfortunately, I think it's time for Holly Holm to hang up the gloves. There's really nothing else for her to really do in this sport. Again, 42 years old. It's kind of crazy that she is still competing at the highest level, but at the end of the day, it's still women's MMA. But let's go into the men's flyweight division. This guy, I didn't know he was this old. Talking about Tyson Nam, he's 1-4 in his last 5 fights. He's ranked 24 in the flyweight division. And Tyson Nam is 40 years old. Out of those 4 losses, he only got finished once, and it was a rear naked choke against Bruno Silva. The rest have been decision losses. So it's not like he's out here taking the craziest amount of damage, but at the end of the day, being 40 years old isn't helping you, especially in those lower weight classes. So unfortunately, I think Tyson Nam should hang up his gloves. At this point, when you get to that age, honestly, anything pushing like 38, you're risking so much of your health. So unfortunately, Tyson Nam, I don't see him getting anywhere near the top 15. But let's move over to the bantamweight division. This guy is ranked number 17th in the world. He is 33 years old. He's not super old, but like I said, in these lower weight classes, the younger guys are always going to do a lot better than these older guys. He's 2-3 in his last 5 fights, nowhere near as bad as some of these guys that we went on, but we are talking about Cody Garbrandt. Now, I believe from his last fight at UFC 300 against Deiveson Figueiredo, he did come out and say that he's not hanging them up right now. He's not done, and he still has aspirations for another title run, but unfortunately, I don't see Cody Garbrandt getting anywhere near top 15. Maybe he can get to the top 15, but I don't see him getting to another title shot, unfortunately. I think his time has passed by him. He is also getting older at 33 years old. And yeah, unless he just wants to be in fun matchups against even like a Dominic Cruz, even at this point, I don't see the Dominic Cruz fight being as dominant as it was back in the day when he won the belt. So yeah, unless he just wants fun matchups, I don't see any real title aspirations in his future, unfortunately. That's why I think you should just hang up the gloves. Pretty much if there's no like title run in your future, this is what I'm basing it on. So Cody Garbrandt, unfortunately, is my pick for the bantamweight division. Moving on to the featherweight division, also someone who fought at UFC 300, ranked number 10 in the world. He is 1-4 in his last 5 fights, which is crazy. I don't remember him being on this big of a losing streak. He is also 36 years old, and this person is Calvin Kattar. Not only all those factors that I just mentioned, but Calvin Kattar is coming off of a leg surgery and being out of the game. I'm pretty sure going into UFC 300, he was out for around 2 years. And unfortunately, I think the sport has passed him by now. Maybe that was just some ring rust we saw at UFC 300, but we really saw nothing out of Calvin Kattar and just pure dominance from Aljamain Sterling. Do I see any future title runs for Calvin Kattar? Unfortunately, I don't, so that's why I think he should hang up the gloves. Moving into the lightweight division, we probably all know who is on this list. Cody Garbrandt definitely inspired me to make this list, but definitely another person who inspired me to make this list is unfortunately the boogeyman himself, Tony Ferguson, El Cucuy, ranked 31 in the lightweight division. That's just crazy to think about. The fact that he was so dominant and back in the day was ranked number 1 as the interim lightweight champion. Craziness. He's 0-7 now. His last win was in 2019 against Cowboy, and he won that because Cowboy blew out his nose and just exploded his eye. But honestly, going back and watching that Cowboy fight, Tony wasn't looking that great. You know, it sucks to say. And the worst part of this is, guess how old Tony Ferguson is? You guys might think he's like 37, maybe 38. This man is 40 years old. For Tony's health, I pray he takes one more fight against like maybe Jim Miller and has a retirement fight there. But Tony is so stubborn, so we might see a 50-year-old Tony Ferguson in the UFC. I hope that isn't a reality, but if anyone is to do it, it would be Tony Ferguson. Let's move over to the welterweight division. Not a household name, but definitely a name you should know. 39 years old, ranked number 53 in the welterweight division. He is 2-6 in his last 8 fights. And this is Court McGee. His last fight was not too long ago, April 6th, on the Curtis versus Allen card number 2. He lost by a 3-round decision against Alex Moreno. And yeah, prior to that, he lost against Matt Brown, round 1, right hook KO. Then against Jeremiah Wells, he lost left hook, round 1 KO as well. His last win was in 2022 against pretty much a can. But like I said, once we get to people getting close to their 40s, for their own health, this is why I want him to retire. Not only that, again, ranked number 53, 39 years of age. There's no title shot for him, unfortunately. His dreams of ever becoming a champion, at least in the UFC, is literally never gonna happen, unfortunately. But let's move over to the middleweight division. He's 2-5 in his last 7 fights. It should be 1-5-1, honestly. He's ranked 29 in the middleweight division, and he is 40 years old. This man is Chris Weidman, coming off that leg break and then losing his comeback win to Brad Tavares back in 2013, but again, just recently coming in and winning that decision against Bruno Silva. I mean, realistically, if it was anyone other than Chris Weidman, this thing would have been turned into a no contest. But because it is Chris Weidman, you know, they're giving him a little bit of special treatment, giving him that unanimous decision win. Now, am I saying at this exact moment he should retire? No, he is technically on a winning streak, but realistically, the next time he does lose, hopefully is his retirement fight as well. Again, it's so hard for these fighters, especially once they're getting to this age. He's 40 years old. To not have any health implications fighting past this time. And it's not like Chris Weidman has the best defense ever. He never gets cracked or any of that stuff. No, he definitely does have some holes in his defense. But yeah, I think Chris Weidman, next fight he loses should be his retirement fight. Let's move over to a pretty surprising one. Honestly, it's kind of sad. This man is 0-4. He is currently not ranked in the light heavyweight division because it's been so long since he's fought. His last fight was in 2022. However, that was in the heavyweight division. He went up in weight. And this person is Alexander Gustafsson. It's crazy. It seems like anyone who has a close fight with Jon Jones just goes on a pretty dramatic losing streak. Now granted, in the first Jon Jones fight, he did rack up 3 wins, but after that second Jon Jones fight, he hasn't won since then. Every single fight since that second Jon Jones fight has been a finish. TKO win for Jon Jones in their second fight. Anthony Smith rear naked choked him in 2019. Then Fabricio Verdum got him in an armbar in 2020. And then as of recently, 2022, Nikita Krylov TKO win. I wouldn't like to see him come back, to be honest. Could he theoretically make some kind of run happen? I don't think so, but I guess anything is possible. This isn't the worst age to be at a light heavyweight, but again, 37, he's not getting any younger. Coming off a 4-fight losing streak, which all 4 fights have ended by finish. He hasn't fought in close to 2 years now. I think and hope he's just retired. Don't get me wrong, when I say I hope these guys retire, it's not because I don't like them. It's just because at this point there's really nothing for these guys to prove other than coming in here and getting even more brain damage and health effects down the line. So with that being said, let's finish this list off with the heavyweight division. You guys probably know who this is. His last fight was 3 years ago, 2021. He is 42 years old, tied with Holly Holm with the oldest person on this list. He's 2-2 in his last 4 fights, which I think is the best record on this list. And if you guys haven't guessed by now, it is Stipe Miocic. And yeah, I just think time is passing by. We saw him previously walking around one of the UFC events, I believe last year, when he was scheduled to fight Jon Jones, and it looks like his legs, his knees are all shot up. He was hobbling around. He's old man Stipe walking around. And yeah, let's not forget, he's also a firefighter primarily. That's his like main job. So best believe being a firefighter has put a lot of tolls on his body. But with that being said, I do believe his next fight is going to be his retirement fight, which is going to be Jon Jones. I do see Stipe retiring after Jon Jones. He practically retired after the Ngannou fight, and he's only really coming back because it's a title shot. I don't see Stipe ever getting another title shot if he does lose to Jon Jones. And yeah, you guys have to let me know in the comments below, did I miss anyone on this list? There could have been dozens of other people I could have added to the list, but these are some of the highest people in my personal opinion in each division I would like to see retire. You guys have to let me know in the comments below, honestly, did you know that Tony Ferguson was 40 years old? Me personally, I didn't think he was that old. It's honestly crazy. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, out of all of these fighters, which one is the most realistic to retire this year. If I had to choose any of these ones, I would love to see Tony Ferguson retire. It's just, he's been through way too much, and he's not the most perfectly sane person out there, so I don't think all this extra damage is going to help him in the long run. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications so you never miss any of my newest videos. And yeah, there's really not that much else left to say except for I will see you guys in my next video.